And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Our latest episode of the PCC Multiverse on the Pop Culture Cosmos has Josh Peterson and I talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, which had a midnight launch last night. How much is it going for on the secondary market? Is there still some available out in the wild? We talk about all those things, plus what you should not let the person who is selling you a Nintendo Switch 2 do when you buy a Nintendo Switch 2 under any circumstances. We mention it on today's PCC Multiverse, which we're going to go ahead and drop on Friday on every audio outlet and radio stations all around the world as well. Also, of course, I got coming up for you on the weekend, I do have an interview with TJ Johnson on the back end coming up for the Cosmos. It will be set up for you next week, where we discuss The Last of Us Season 2 and his thoughts there, plus a whole bunch of things. And also, all the stuff that went on in Summer Games Fest and the not so E3 period, that we're going to have a great conversation there as well, coming up next week for you right there at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights is here. Yo, go ahead and check him out on his YouTube channel, Empire Jeff TV, covering the Lakers and Dodgers. Also as well, the Lakerholics crew. You know, Laker Tom is coming up with all sorts of fun trade options. He's retweeting a lot of trade things and all that scenario that he does. Hopefully, if we can get enough of his thoughts together, we can go ahead and look on a future episode some of the different Laker Tom isms that he's been tweeting out there and writing about there so far. So we'll go ahead and hopefully get a chance to go ahead and break that on down. But until then, you can stop by his great site with him and Jamie Swede, Michael Heinrich, and the crew at the Lakerholics.com site right there for you. Plus, also as well, of course, don't forget Clutch Talking Lakers Corner with John Costa. He will be in this chair tomorrow. He is having a John Costa show coming up here on 5 p.m. Friday. So look for that with Clutch Talk, Lakers Corner, and also on Lakers Fast Break channels. Already got it set up, already got it scheduled. He's got a special guest. He is asking for people to come on, talk to him, plus also a great audience asking questions on the Lakers off season as well. DBSH says the game was boring until the end. Yeah, it really wasn't. No major breakouts and things that you usually see from these two. There was just, again, they let as Sean would say, they went ahead and played with their food and it got bitten by them as far as that's concerned. But go ahead and make sure you like and subscribe what we do. We need more subscribers. You want us on more often? Got to get more subscribers. We got to go ahead and become one of the big channels out there for Lakers coverage. And in order to do so, it starts with you by liking and subscribing, getting us on all those YouTube algorithm thingy mabobbers. So go ahead and check us out by liking and subscribing. Also become a member today to go ahead and be part of what we do right here at the Lakers Fast Break for just $2.99 a month, right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Yes, DBSH, I will give you that. Caruso did deserve better. Again, he had a really strong performance. And it was a shame to see that no joker. Thank you again for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. Pacers got melody, harmony, and rhythm. I believe that is a thinly veiled shot at Brian G on our playback. I was watching that go forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth as they were discussing their different musical tastes. I will just leave it at that. And I felt like in the old meme, like today in politics, just like standing back, being the Michael Jackson in the room, eating the popcorn, watching the fight continue. So yeah, it was interesting to see two different battles today around this world. One right there on our playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break channel. Go back and forth indeed. It was really good to see. But thank you, No Joker, for the kind and generous super chat. It is truly appreciated. Sports Baby, a happy man tonight because the Indiana Pacers did what the Indiana Pacers have been doing, especially in game ones. They stay around, hang around within 20 points. Most of the game, most of the time, is between 7 to 14 point lead for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Did enough that you would think they would be up by a lot more. But the one thing that I talk about when it concerns OKC and the reason why teams next year should be loading up, because I do not think this OKC team is a juggernaut. I do think they're a great team that has a chance of being at or near the top of the mountain for the next few years, the way they have as far as the assets they have. But I will say this: you saw tonight the flaw in the OKC armor, the Achilles heel, as it were, as they do not create enough in the half-court offense to be consistent. And that's what bit them in the end. They relied heavily on SGA and Jalen Williams, and unfortunately, it did not come to pass as they gave up a lead late. And with another incredible last-second shot, under 1 second with 0.3 left, the Indiana Pacers and Vari flipping out all over Australia. They do take the victory tonight with a last-second victory. Again, the Indiana Pacers now lead the series 1-0 after a thrilling 111-110 victory. And here today to go ahead and discuss that, plus also as well our topic for the day. And I'm hoping Sean comes on because I got a really interesting question for Sean to ponder. Good man indeed. He and I do go back and forth on our playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break channel. But also, he had a great show. I watched the whole thing, Joe, from start to end. You were on such a roll in the Dodgers. I didn't want to go ahead and interrupt you. You only talked a little about the finals. This is mainly Dodgers talk, and it was very good viewing, as I say. My compliments to you. It is the Joe Soro Experiment, Joe Soro channel on YouTube. It is Joe Soro. Joe, good to have you here. Your thoughts on the game? Again, Indiana, they did not give up, even though they had a lot of turnovers. They did not give up that big spurt by OKC. OKC just could not put enough shots together to distance themselves enough. And Indiana, they stayed in it. They stayed in it, and they crept back in little by little by little by little by little until finally Indiana broke through and won the game with less than a second left.
Yeah, it was pretty consistent throughout the game until the last 3 minutes, really, that Oklahoma City likely thought, we only have 3 minutes left. We'll just keep doing what we're doing. Problem was they weren't making any shots. They weren't really getting the calls that they were getting pretty much throughout the entire game, which tends to happen in games like this because the refs decide that they change the rule books at the end of the game so that they don't influence the games.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how to judge this game. The first thing that came to my mind after the Halliburton game-winning shot was, is this a Philadelphia 76ers winning game one against the Lakers in 01? There was a lot of panic. I remember that whole 2 days or whatever days it was until the Lakers played game two against Philly in the finals. There was this, are the Lakers going to lose to Philly? You're getting that now. I'm not trying to compare Oklahoma City to the Lakers of 01, but at the time, I think people forget this. When you're in it, when it's live, when you don't know the results yet, that's the true definition of understanding what you're watching. You can't go back and look at that and say, yeah, it was an easy whatever. No, you weren't there. You didn't watch it. You didn't feel it after game one. You didn't feel it after game three. So I don't know how to really feel about this. That's the first thought I had. I don't know if it was instinct. I don't know if it was just kind of something random. But Oklahoma City beat Miami in 2012, if you want to use another example. I'll know, at least from my perspective, how this will play out and how Oklahoma City plays the next two games. Let's say they win game 2, which they're supposed to, and they do. They win game 3 in Indiana, and you probably get back to the normal setup of how this is probably going to end. So I'm going to give Oklahoma City a little bit of a reprieve until they give me a reason not to.
Okay. All right. Nick T is just putting out there just some of the dumbest statements again. Absolutely. Funny. OKC wins 80 games, and he says SGA taking all the shots is a problem. Then he says Halliburton is the only pure point guard in the league. And I'm like, man, Nick T, you have no clue. You have absolutely no clue.
What's a pure point guard in today's NBA?
Exactly. I just like,
you know what a pure point guard is? A distributing offensive setting point guard, which the NBA doesn't necessarily have those anymore. I don't really look at any point guards now. Steph Curry has been put in the category of a point guard, much like Tim Duncan has been put in as a power forward, even though he sits more like a center. But I think it's more validated that he did play point. Tim Duncan was a 7-foot point power forward. Now Steph Curry got good handles, great handles, and can shoot, and is considered a point guard. I do not. I have stated this many times that he is the hybrid guard. He created his own position in between the point guard and the scoring guard. So to put him next to someone like a Chris Paul or someone like Magic Johnson, their games are just not the same. They're different. Halliburton is more of the Steph Curry type, right? He's following that hybrid point guard / scoring guard. And that's what he is. I would call it a HG. I would actually create, just much like the halfback in football. They don't call them that anymore. But there should be a position now in basketball where they call it the HG, the hybrid guard. And Halliburton is the hybrid guard. And Curry was the creator of that. He's not the first to do it, but he's the one that has made it a general audience position.
Yeah, I agree. You guys with the Chris Paul rumors that he wants to come back to LA. That's great. He wants to come back to LA. Let him go to the Clippers, because that's the last thing we need is another short guard who can't play defense. Yay. That's 40 years old. Yay. 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 But it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. Hey, I know, Joe, and it's just like, yeah, all these rumors, guys, please calm down with all these rumors. Yeah, and if he doesn't want to come back to LA, the Clippers are right there for him. Absolutely. Nick T, your continual defense of this and how you love the fact that you would like to transport yourself back to the 80s as a basketball fan, unfortunately, it's not going to fly with us. You're like beating this dead horse, and nobody is actually caring what you have to say if that's the case. Because again, today, Oklahoma City had several chances to win, not just SGA, but Jalen Williams, and they didn't get the job done. Alex Caruso, Joe, played his heart out, changed the dynamics in many ways and forms during the game, and his other team lets him down, which brings me to my conclusion here. We had talked about, and I've talked about, how these teams around the NBA during this offseason should load up, whether it's more depth, whether it's another star, what have you. I don't care. It depends on whichever team and whichever fit you want. Because OKC is not, as I stated before, infallible. We saw tonight, despite the many turnovers they got, despite the defensive lockdowns at times, they are their team, their offense, their half court offense just eludes them at times. And really, it's this vulnerability that I see an opening for teams next season, Joe.
Well, this is not. I'm not putting this only on the major sports shows and their consistent. Just I don't know what the word I should use here without going with the wrong words, but the major sports networks, the major sports shows continue to live in this world where they know what's going on after one game. And then,
because we're hearing it now. Yes, we're hearing
and then
it
after that, it'll be maybe one series. We've talked about this on this show so many times. This constant wave running of, oh, this is going to dominate for the next 5 years. No, it's not. Oklahoma City is not going to dominate shit. They could win this year. Fine. No one's dominating anything. The league is not allowing that anymore. Pay attention to the details. Believe me, I wish we could see more domination. I like greatness. We love greatness. I love greatness. I don't care if it's 2, 3, 4 in a row. Yes, it might not be the Lakers. It might not be the Dodgers. It might not be my teams. But I prefer to see greatness. I'm a sports guy. I like greatness. I like the highest of highest. I don't like mediocrity. I don't like middle tier opportunities. I don't care for that. I want greatness. Oklahoma City has done a fabulous job building their team, and they still have a crap load of assets to continue to build it. But everyone needs to get off whatever the hell they're on with this constant year in and year out. Oh, this team is going to dominate for the next 2, 3 years. We haven't seen shit of any dominance since the Golden State Warriors. And the Golden State Warriors even wouldn't have dominated if there wasn't a perfect crack to where they could go acquire Kevin Durant and become virtually impossible to beat. You had arguably the 3 greatest shooters that have ever played. Arguably, one of them isn't an arguable, but definitely Klay Thompson and Durant have a argument that they could be 2, 3. You can flip either one. Sorry, Reggie. Sorry, Ray Allen. I'm just saying there's an argument. I'm not saying they are. But you had the 3 best shooters at that moment, beginning of a shooters league in their prime playing together. Oh, and you also had a 4th guy that happened to not care about shooting, who still shot pretty darn well, and he was winning Defensive Player of the Year awards. It took that to be dominant. And even with that, you saw James Harden and a Chris Paul almost take him out. You almost saw, at the time Durant was on their right with a 73-win team, almost take that team out, being up 3-1. What is dominance? What is dominance? It's funny, Gerald. I was scrolling through YouTube here the last few days, and for some weird reason, the post-game Western Conference Finals win that the Lakers have had in 2009 and in 2010 popped up. I don't know why. And the theme of those clips was how stoic the entire team looked being awarded the Western Conference trophy. They looked like they were in a morgue. They couldn't give 2 you-know-whats that they were receiving the Western Conference Finals trophy. Everyone knew, and we knew who was there, hovering around. He wasn't even on the camera, by the way. He was in the back, I think, in one of them. But they all knew what they all knew what they were there for. They were there for the next one. That to me is dominance. That to me is the last of the great teams. Now Miami has an argument with LeBron, Wade, and Bosch, but I was never really all about Like I never felt like Miami was like, whoa. There was always something there with Miami. They won. They had a 27 game winning streak in 2020 and 2013, but I just didn't I didn't see like a man, this team is just dominant. Those Laker teams were. Spurs to a degree, Bulls were dominant. Lakers of the 80s were dominant. And that's not something you just say every other year. Oh, this team's going to run over everybody. Dude, can you wait for them to win? Can you let them win a little bit? So here we are. Probably a finals matchup that's not going to be intriguing to the public, the non-crazy sports public. But the game was one hell of a game, and it ended in a hell of a way. And we won't really know if this is going to go Indiana's way or Oklahoma City's way. We don't know yet. Oh, Indiana might have just gotten lucky. They might have just hit on at the right moment, and Oklahoma City took them for granted. And now it's like, all right, well, we just crapped that out. Let's go ahead and tie the series up. We win one in Indiana. We're right back where we want to be. So that's how I feel about this right now.
And again, despite the many turnovers by Indiana, the OKC defense does allow for a lot of three-pointers and a lot of three-point looks. Indiana took advantage of it, shooting 46%, getting 18 three-pointers. They outscored OKC at the three-point line by 21. I don't know if you want to consider that the key factor right there, but obviously in this league of three-point shots, there are some teams like, for instance, the Lakers that allow a lot of three-pointers to be shot up against them. And then there are others that really take a good measure to go ahead and be up on the line. But the detraction is obviously that they're giving up a lot as far as inside because of it. Your thoughts? We've seen both ways. We've seen defenses that one either go ahead and guard out on the perimeter and try to prevent good looks at threes, and the other way where they pack in the paint and give teams, especially on the wing, a lot of easy looks at threes. Your thoughts on how you would approach it in today's modern basketball?
Well, the issue in this game, I don't know if it's going to continue because Carlisle exploited Dagnott tonight. He exploited him a little bit.
Yes, they do, JY. In other words, yes, they do have.
Because when you look at you went ahead and put a lot of money towards Hartenstein. Granted, it wasn't too long term, but you did put money, and you felt you needed something there to put at the center position with someone who's coming into his own, and Chet Holmgren at the power forward position. And what happened tonight was they played okay, especially considering it's their first finals appearance. You know, nerves probably played a part, and matchups and whatever, right? I'm just kind of throwing maybe an excuse there for them. But if Oklahoma City wants to win this series, they're going to need to use that size to their advantage. Otherwise, now they're just playing small ball against an Indiana team that has been known to score out of their minds.
On that note, Isaiah Hartenstein was taken out of the starting lineup. Cason Wallace would put in. Cason Wallace was a -13.
Yes, and the when I saw that, I don't know how I it's easy to say it now that it might have been a mistake because they lost, but was it really that bad when they were leading in double digits practically for 45 minutes of the game? See, that's where you got to watch the game. I was watching the game, but I wasn't. I can watch basketball and hear it and watch and then kind of do things as I'm watching and still be able to kind of understand what's going on. It's just, when you've watched, I don't even know. What would you say that we have watched probably over 5,000 to 6,000 games in our life?
At least,
right? So at some point it becomes a sixth sense. You can hear pick and roll. You can hear press coverage. You can hear trap. You can hear, oh, he missed a free throw. And then you can still kind of see the game as I'm doing work or I'm maybe talking to somebody on the phone or whatever, right? So as I'm watching and gauging and engaging and not engaging throughout the game, you started noticing that there's kind of this. Is it just is Oklahoma City just like, we're here, we're up double digits, just keep doing what you're doing and we'll win this game. The problem was Carlisle did some things and said, all right, now it's time to start maybe putting some pressure on them here towards the end so we can start doing things. And what happens there is when you have nothing to lose, you're not thinking as much. And they started making those shots. And Oklahoma City kept leaving Laker Tom's favorite player of all time open. And then that's when I start clicking. Like, okay, at what point is this team going to stop giving Miles Turner wide open threes? This guy can hit those. And that's what ended up hurting them. Or it could have been just maybe they were running better sets. Maybe Oklahoma City got tired because they were playing pretty good defense, forcing those turnovers. But in the end, it's about shot making at the right time, something that the Indiana Pacers have continued to do. So this is not a surprise in the respect of the fact that this is how they've been winning these games. So this isn't an anomaly. Maybe it's an anomaly for Oklahoma City, but it's not for Indiana. Indiana has made a habit of winning these kind of games. So you should be ready the rest of the way here, Oklahoma City. You got a chance to play Indiana, feel them out. You had the win in your hands, and then it got taken away. So now make sure you don't fall asleep the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Sports Baby's asking you if you were surprised with the Pacers' ability to stay in the game and come back and win.
No, I wasn't. I was thinking right around the 5-minute mark in the fourth that I felt like Oklahoma City seems to feel that no matter what Indiana does, it felt like Indiana was playing really, really hard. And every time they made a shot here, made a shot there, Oklahoma City just was able to still kind of maintain that lead until it didn't. It flipped right away. And that's something that's been going on in the NBA for a while now. It's hard. It's hard to maintain a 10-point lead, a 12-point lead, even with 3 minutes left in a game now because of the three-point shot, because of the fact that you can't establish a set down low where you can guarantee yourself 2 points. See, I'm going to kind of segue into something else here. There's been a lot of discussion on my end of things, not on the show. We've had this discussion a little bit on the show, but not in detail. But there's been some talk about Shaq. How would Shaq have fared in this era? How would he have fared? Shaq, even in an era where the half-court offense was the dominant offense, especially in the playoffs, he had major issues guarding the pick and roll. And in this era, they would pick and roll to death, and they would bring him out from the paint. The only problem is, how are you going to handle Shaq in the box? Because he'd be guaranteed more getting you 2 points in crucial times now than even before then, because these guys were not stacked with 7 centers so they can use their 6 fouls on Shaq. They weren't stacked with guys like David Robinson, Tim Duncan. There's some good big men now, but nowhere near the athletes that there were then and the stars that were then. So Oklahoma City,
yeah.
if I had to say, to put a button on this, if I go back and I tell the team, hey, look, I screwed this up as the coach. I screwed this up. I should have had safer plays towards the end when we were missing shots and they were starting to make their threes so that we can maintain what we had. Get Holmgren involved a little bit more and get Hartenstein better shots down low. But there's really no true point guard, to go back to our first discussion here.
And despite the 24 turnovers, again, that's a huge number, 24 turnovers by Indiana.
But it didn't matter.
They didn't give up that big run. They didn't give up that big run.
It's the first half. Yeah, they had 19 in the first half. I think it was 19 turnovers in the first half. So they only had 5 in the second. And if a team has 19 turnovers
And you're not leading
in
big.
one half, you should be up 20 in this
Yeah.
day and age for sure.
Yes.
For sure. But Indiana's a good team. They're scrappy, and they have a very good coach. And that very good coach, even though he's an irritant to a lot of us, this team is like a college team. They listen to the irritant coach. A lot of times that doesn't happen in the NBA. It just doesn't. But they have it. They in Oklahoma City lost this game. With all due respect, lost this game more than Indiana wanted. But it doesn't matter in the end as long as you win. If Indiana beats Oklahoma City in game 2 now
we're talking.
Now we're talking major problem. Now we're talking a guarantee 7-game series if Oklahoma City wants to win this series. And that makes it more exciting at that point for a viewer who has no skin in the game.
They need to execute a lot better on the offensive end, OKC. I don't think the problem was defense necessarily, because again, even in the second half, they got quite a few defensive stops. But like you said, in the first half, forcing 19 turnovers, you should be up big. It's their offense that let them down. So even if they got those turnovers, not often enough did they execute and score off those turnovers because their offense was so poor in today's game. And despite a really valiant effort by Caruso, which again we were saying throughout hurts us a lot here watching it, but you see the intangibles that Alex Caruso brings. It just highlights even more the mistakes that we've made in recent times in regards to evaluations on who the Lakers prioritize, one or the other, which will be leading us into our next subject here. But to finish off what we're talking about with Game 1 of the NBA Finals and what may take place going forward, they OKC, and to Nick's credit, they are a little bit reliant on Williams and also as well SGA, which again, Joe, could be their undoing. Williams has got to execute a lot better. SGA, 38 points. That in itself, you become maybe a little bit reliant on that, but he's giving you what this team should need to win. But Jalen Williams going 6-19 again. He is the number 2 player, Joe, on that team, and him going like this has been a barometer of how OKC is done in the playoffs. And he's the factor here.
It adds to this exaggeration of talent in the NBA that's gone on for years. Anytime someone has a good week, a good year, a good playoff run, a good series win, they win a championship, all of a sudden we have to hear, oh, is this guy great? Is he the greatest this? Is he the greatest that? When you do that, you marginalize what the word great really means. Great, Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer has taken a huge hit. For God's sake, Scott Rowland. And I'm sorry, Scott, if you're listening. Sorry for you, Scott Rowland fans and people in his family and his friends. I'm sorry, but Scott Rowland is not even close to a Hall of Famer. He's not. I'm sorry. I never thought twice. Scott Rowland is a good baseball player. A Hall of Famer? I'm still in shock that Tim Raines got in. I watched all these guys play. You marginalize great. So when you see guys that have a good week, a good month, that are athletically freakish, Jalen Williams, doesn't matter who it is, and you call them great, you insult the great ones. The great is only for the very, very few. The people in the NBA, 98%, in my view, of the NBA is at the top, very good. That's it. Very good to go, and then you go down to good to okay to you know what. And that might even be too much. Great is only reserved for guys like Jokic, guys that are like Giannis. We're talking about multiple MVP winners, guys that have been playing for a decade. Would you say Derrick Rose is great? He won an MVP.
He won 2.
You want one?
I thought he won 2.
No, that's Steve Nash who won 2.
Okay.
So this team, Oklahoma City and Indiana Pacers, they are very good teams that happen to be playing for the championship. And that's kind of how the league played out this year. And in a lot of ways, sort of played out like last year. Sort of played out like the year before. I'm noticing that there's a lot of very good teams that are getting to the finals. There's no really great team anymore. They've marginalized it. And I think we're going to have to get used to it now, right? So just enjoy the game. To me, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is on his way to being great. He's still not there for me. Tyrese Halliburton, very good player. Very good player. And that's about it. That's about it. And none of these teams are great. They're just very, very good, and they happen to be playing in the finals. Denver, with Jokic, they had an opportunity to be something in 2023. They had good depth, good team guys. Jamal Murray was considered the second guy on that team, and he never showed any kind of jealousy there. And then you had 2 guys that were athletic freaks, Aaron Gordon specifically, who was the number 1 for years in Orlando and decided to be the 4th guy. When a number 1 guy decides to become a 4th guy on a title team, that usually means they're going to win more. Look at Iguodala when he went to Golden State, right? So we thought Denver was going to go a certain way, but they had one bad quarter last year against Minnesota, and they couldn't close out Oklahoma City, and that's how close it is now. So Denver is not really a great team. They got a great player on their team, but their team ended up not being great when everything and everyone, all these guys on ESPN, all talk like this. It's not just Stephen A. Smith, by the way. That's everyone now. Oh, Denver's going to run the league for the next 5 years. They haven't seen the finals since 2023. Calm down. Since it's Aaron Rodgers' day today in Pittsburgh, I'm going to say it. RELAX. And by the way, everyone's going crazy in the wrong way. I've been waiting for this for 3 months. The second I heard this was going to happen, or maybe it wasn't going to happen, or it will happen, or it won't happen, I don't know. The dread from more than probably 60%. No, not Aaron Rodgers. I'm just sitting there going, please let Aaron Rodgers sign. Please let Aaron Rodgers sign. I just want to see the circus. And
can't wait for it.
I've had this discussion more in the Steelers circles, which there's not a lot in my physical circle here. It's more online with the message boards, right? I'm like, guys, you could put Tom Brady in his prime with Mike Tomlin in this team. They're not going to win shit until Mike Tomlin is gone. Mike Tomlin is and will be the most overrated coach in the history of sports that makes the Hall of Fame. He is going to go to the Hall of Fame, and it's a travesty because I've watched this man coach every single game that he's coached as a head coach in the NFL, and he is terrible. He's a terrible head coach. So
JY's asking if OKC just played a team in the playoffs with 2 All-Stars in this lineup on this run. No, not as of yet. Even though a lot of people have said Jamal Murray is a All-Star, he's not achieved All-Star status officially. And again, Minnesota did not have. It was just Anthony Edwards. Yeah, they have not done that as of yet. So The answer is no, JY, not as of yet. But again, they faced some very good teams and almost lost in the second round to Denver, which shows that they are not infallible by any stretch of the imagination. I know Nick T is just like oozing and frothing with his man crush over Halliburton because he plays the way that he envisions a point guard to play. And unfortunately, for him, we've seen it get bit back in the other end where Halliburton just has a terrible game, yet we won't hear any excuses there. But Halliburton is a very good player. I will agree with you that. He's not a great player. He's a very good player who plays well when you need him the most. Nembhard is a good role player who plays well when you need him the most. And if that's the case, you could have a superstar, Joe, but if they don't play well when you need them the most, it really, what would you rather have? And at this point, after game one, you would rather have the guys that are good or very good, but who play well, like you said, in the clutch moments, like the things you've talked about with the Lakers, as far as LeBron, Luka, other players not executing in the clutch. They're executing in the clutch, and it doesn't matter how good you think or evaluate that they are, whether they're good, very good, or great. They're executing when they need him the most. He's not a great player. He's not a great player.
Great players, great players used to it would usually mean something in the NBA, but it's slowly changing.
Mhm.
It is slowly changing. I'm not afraid of Shai Gilgeous. How I base all timers is fear. There are a few exceptions, LeBron being one. I've never feared LeBron in games, but he's without a doubt one of the all-time greats in any sport. His talent was that great to the point where he didn't have to be the killer, much like a Tim Duncan. But I was actually more afraid of Tim Duncan than I've ever been afraid of LeBron James. I don't know anyone in the NBA right now looking at things as of right now. I don't know who I really fear when the Lakers play that player. I don't have it. Maybe it's just the way the game is played now, and maybe that plays a factor.
Not even Jokic?
No.
Okay.
No, I have not feared Jokic. Even with them whooping the Lakers in those two series, I always felt that it was the Lakers who weren't capable of doing what they needed to do, more so than is Jokic going to be that guy that's going to take it away from a team that's busting their ass and killing themselves to win. Does that make sense? So
yes.
I was afraid of Michael Jordan. I was afraid of how the Celtics played when they were good and the Lakers were playing them. You were worried about the Paul Pierce hitting shots and going off, right? That's the stuff I feared. Tim Duncan, to a huge degree, was afraid of him because you couldn't get in his head. And if you watch the Game 6 of the 2003 semifinals, he absolutely went to LA and gave both Shaq and Kobe the business in their own house. That's scary. That was scary. You could see it develop. You're like, oh, Tim Duncan's taking this out. I don't fear anybody. And when we were talking about Shaq coming, how would he fare in this era? Well, it's easy to say you'll plug in Michael, you'll plug in Shaq, you'll plug in Kareem or Magic in this era and blah, blah, blah. But what you have to do is you have to be realistic if you're really going to play that game. Shaq doesn't become Shaq if he was born in 1990. or 2000. He would have 100% been taught how to shoot instead of dunking. So Shaq would have never existed in this era. More than likely, at least not from what we saw of him during his career. That's why that argument is always a stupid one. Well, if Shaq was playing in today's game, Shaq wouldn't be Shaq in today's game. Now, you want to talk about Jordan? You want to talk about Kobe? Those guys would have adapted today's game. They were too good. And not just them. Guys like Bernard King, guys like Alex English, guys that a lot of people don't know, but were great back then too. Very good, I should say. But would Jordan and Kobe have their killer instinct the way they were if they were born in 2000 and grew up in this era? The answer is likely no. Who's a killer in the NBA right now? Who has a Mamba mentality? Jason Tatum talks about it, but he's not Kobe. He's a nice guy. He's a kind-hearted guy, very good, respectful guy. There is no one. Those guys are gone. And I don't think they're ever going to come back. I don't think anybody's going to come back. When we talk about the early 2000 Lakers, especially the team the 01 team, when it was Fish starting at the 1 at the end of the year, it was Fish instead of Ron, Kobe, Ori, the finishing lineup. Shaq, Ori, Fox, Fisher, and Kobe. That finishing lineup was mean.
So you're saying in this Indiana team, let's just put that backcourt. Nembhard, again, a good player, solid role player, plays pretty good defense, but loves the big moment and the big spotlight. Halliburton, he has been invisible in 12 games this year, scoring less than double digits. Coming up to that last second shot, he had only 11 points in the game. It had made not that great of an impact on the game, but lives up to that moment. Those two guys, again, Nembhard, obviously we know from personal experience with the Lakers what he has done, but he has played well in playoff moments. But Halliburton himself taking those big shots, you don't think that even Halliburton himself, despite whatever he does during the entire course of the game, doesn't like to live up that moment, doesn't like that Mamba mentality?
There is that aspect of it, of course,
because he loves taking that last second shot. Despite our arguments
great.
with Nick Tion on it, he loves that moment.
It is. But I don't feel it. Okay. And maybe I'm out of touch. Uh-huh. Maybe I'm scarred already with it, and I don't really feel it anymore. I don't fear any NBA player in today's NBA. When my team is playing against somebody, I don't fear. Even with Jamal Murray hitting those clutch shots in the playoffs, I wasn't afraid. I don't feel it. Steph is another one that people are afraid of because he can hit a shot from anywhere. Damian Lillard had it too. A guy who can shoot from 25 feet and swish it, that's a scary player. The Mamba mentality is, again, it's one of those things where it's starting to get overused. No one in the NBA, I'm going to say this again, no one, not a single basketball player in today's game has the Mamba mentality. None. Even if they're clutching the end and like Halliburton is, there is no Mamba mentality. That does not really exist here. It's not to support Kobe in that and say Kobe was unique. No, it's not that. I just don't. Show me how you've got somebody that's there game in and game out that's ready to just do the business on you. That's a great player. Who? How many guys play 82 games a year or try to play 82 games a year that are in the great position? We're gone. We got it, guys. We got it once. We had it, and it's over. It's time to accept that those days are gone. Guys are not going to play. Guys like Jack Youngblood playing on a broken leg in the Super Bowl. Those days are never going to happen again. It's over. It's we have to embrace the fact that these guys dress like tulips off the court and play like the present day basketball player.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro of the Joe Soro channel on YouTube. It's me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. If you're new here to the show, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out here on the channel. Really helps give us a chance to grow into the fact that we are the leading Lakers channel that's out there. And let's go shift from game one, the finals. Game two will be up on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break coming up here this weekend. So looking forward to that. I want to ask you this in regards to the Lakers. Most analysts have perceived this year's draft as a good draft. Not great draft, but pretty good draft. There could be a lot of players who could be strong out there as far as rotation players. I think next year is going to be thought of as a little bit more top heavy, meaning that there's going to be a lot of players who can contribute more at the top end of the draft, but maybe not so much at the other sections. This year's draft seems to be, even with the 30 or plus or more individuals who decided to go back to college basketball or back to Europe, there's still a lot of players that they think can make contributions in round one, round two. Your thoughts on this, Joe? Is it conceivable that the Lakers, who only have, as of now, a pick number 55, might make a move to move up in the draft either in round two or possibly even round one?
I don't think they're going to make a move for anybody.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Let me rephrase it, because this is the question.
What would they trade future second round pick?
Well, I was going to ask this
to move up. Is that what you're asking?
Well, let me ask you this. Let me throw this at you. Toronto, or a team that's like in the top 10, or maybe even a team that's like right there in the lottery, maybe wants to get a little bit better, maybe wants to move more a win now philosophy. They think they're just a player away to go ahead and do just that. What if they were to call the Lakers? Let me ask you this. Austin Reeves obviously has been the talk as far as the Lakers, as far as the one asset that the Lakers could try to move to get more assets on there. And if let's just say the Lakers wanted to move up. Let's say there are 2 or 3 players the Lakers were just so enamored with, and they wanted to do anything they could to move up into this draft. How far, if Austin Reeves were offered, how far or how high up do you think they could go in this year's draft? Just say Austin Reeves before you make any other trade, for this player, picks or whatever, swaps, whatever. How far could Austin Reeves alone, before you do anything else, before you make the trade, get you up in the draft?
Okay, here's the only trade that would make sense for the Lakers. This is the only way this makes sense. You'd have to trade Austin Reeves to a team that is kind of not at the brink of competing for a title, but is maybe a couple moves away from doing it. And it may still take a year or so to really go. So what team in the lottery area is like that? You have Houston and you have San Antonio. Now,
Well,
you can say Dallas. You can say Dallas too.
Yeah.
But Dallas is not going to trade the first pick, obviously. But looking at Houston and San Antonio, Houston has the 10th pick, and San Antonio has a second pick that's at 14. So if San Antonio called and said, we're going to give you the 14th pick for Austin Reeves. And if the Lakers, I don't know what they're doing in scouting players out there, but if there is a player that they're like, dude, if we get this guy, he's totally out of everyone's radar, and if we get this guy would be the perfect player to play with Luka in 2 or 3 years. That would be the only way that deal happens. But I don't feel like the Lakers have that kind of.
Well, let me just ask you this. Okay, humor me. I went a little Laker Tomish. Again, you guys, before you say I'm crazy, this is just a what if. To see how far this could go, as far as how high up you could go. Toronto is a team that has a lot of payroll, has not had a lot of success, but feels like with their core and that Ingram move that still befuddles me, they think they're a more of a compete now contender. And especially in an uncertain East with the injuries involved to Milwaukee, the fact that they're really looking like they're going to go off the deep end here, Boston and their issues. Toronto may feel Masai Ujiri may feel like he's just a move away from getting back into the thick of things. So let me hear this. Hear me out on this. I did a package deal where I was thinking Austin Reeves and Gabe Vincent to Toronto. If the 9th pick is available and Malawak, the 7-2 guy from Duke, lob threat, interior defender, etc., etc. Let's just say you traded Gabe and Reeves for what would work out money-wise would be something similar to the effect of, I think it was Jakob Poeltl, your favorite guy on the Toronto Raptors team, Grady Dick, and a first rounder. Would that be of interest for you if Malawak was there at number 9? I'm just throwing this out. I wanted to throw this out to Sean because he's in the Toronto area, but he's not here. Let's just say that was available to you. Would you at least be interested in it?
No. Not in today's NBA, no. Because he'll get played off the court. Centers in today's game, unless they're Jokic, and even Jokic is not really. He's spending more time at the elbow. I don't think investing in a center in that way is something that you should do.
Okay, because he's the only guy with size at that near the top of the draft.
I don't see what that would do. The Lakers with a Luka-centric team, once LeBron leaves, has to be a team that's in a lot of ways built like the Indiana Pacers. Imagine Luka on Indiana right now instead of Halliburton.
Well, I'm sure that would please Nick to no end.
They would have been favorite to win. Halliburton is a very good player, but Luka's a couple notches ahead of him.
I agree.
So what you want to do is you want to follow that path. You want to get a big that can move around, not somebody who can block shots and do all that stuff. That's great during the regular season, but that's a detriment usually in the playoffs because they'll just spread them out. If you have a backup center that can do that stuff, that's fine depending on matchups on whomever you're playing. Maybe they have bigs that they use more, whatever. But even with that, they're drawing everybody out. Doesn't matter how good you are down low. Look at Zubac. Zubac is the traditional big. He gets all these rebounds. He's dropping 20 points, but the Clippers are not winning with that, no matter how hard they try.
7 games with Denver. And a lot of that was because Jokic, he had to guard Jokic. If Jokic is out there,
that's fine. That
facilitated him being out there as well.
Right. But you're talking about a guy that's been there for, 6 years now? It's not. I'm not dogging on Zubac. It's just a different league. It doesn't matter if a big drops 20 and 20 anymore. So the Lakers making a deal like that, I don't. Lakers barely made those kind of deals when they had Jerry West. The one time they did do something like that, they got Kobe Bryant. They just won't make deals like that. They could trade up in the second round if they have the assets to send for a player that maybe they feel might be a difference maker. But Lakers have not shown me that they are that equipped in that department. They're equipped at finding diamonds in the rough, but nothing calculated in the draft. Dalton dropped to them. That wasn't something where they were like, ooh, we're going to wait for Dalton to drop and then we'll be ready like he will. No, that was just he dropped. Oh, well, we're going to get Cadet because he could be a top 5 player in this draft. And for some weird reason, he dropped 17. And then we ended up finding out why he dropped 17. So, yeah, short answer there is not likely that anything's going to happen here. I think they're going to pick best player available, and we'll just have to live with what that is. And it could be somebody good because that is one thing that they've been pretty good at the last decade is finding some good people in the second round that isn't manipulated by LeBron.
Brian says, no defense, no bigs, no good takes from Joe. Ooh. Okay. So harsh words, Brian. I mean, that's his opinion. And he's right to an extent. There is the 5-out mentality on offense. But OKC did have virtually the entire game a big in there if it was Chet Holmgren. And he's a big. Miles Turner was out there quite a bit. But you saw at the very end, Miles Turner was taken out of the game so that Indiana could go a little bit smaller. I'll let you comment on that just a sec, Joe. But Nick T, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. You knew he would say something about it when you mentioned it. If Luka was Indiana, they wouldn't play the same Joe because Luka's too ISO. Knicks would have beaten Indiana. It's easier to guard ball dominant Luka. Yeah, you have both. You have the feuding individuals in our playback. Brian G and Nick T both talking some smack to you. Wow. All right.
Luka would adapt to the team. Luka becomes an ISO player because he has to. Jason Kidd is one of the worst coaches in the NBA. Usually you see a lot of that ISO stuff when you have a coach that doesn't know how to devise a plan. Rick Carlisle is not one of those guys. Even though he is an irritant, if you do find a team that will listen to him, he's actually pretty damn good. Probably one of the best coaches in the NBA. JJ Redick wasn't able to do a lot of things towards the end of the year because of circumstance, because of who else is there. Rookie season, whatever. But we'll judge JJ Redick here the next year or two to see if he's equipped to be a coach in the NBA. Still need to give him some time.
And no jokers.
The Lakers do need a center. And they do need a center that will be able to block shots and do those things. However, the deeper you get in the playoffs, the more you'll see what you saw tonight. The bigs become non-existent unless they can shoot.
So that's what Frank was asking. And man, they're Nick T and no joker taking shots at you still. But Frank was saying that he is asking you if a center needs to be able to shoot threes now. We even saw Thomas Bryant get some minutes on the court, and he was shooting threes and connecting in both the last game and this one as well.
So if you're going to say that somebody's wrong about something and then you see exactly what that person said happened, how is that person wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Is it your feelings that are against it, or is it logic? Just saying.
Okay. Nick T says he got a brain aneurysm with that statement.
Nick is just trying to get attention at this point. He's learning the hot points and the hot words to get attention.
Apparently.
But to question my intelligence based off from a person who's been a complete retard on this show for 3 months? Yeah, I'm not there's not really a lot of validity there.
Exactly. When it came down to the crucial point in time, Miles Turner was off the court.
Keep thinking Halliburton is a better player than Luka. Go ahead. Go ahead. That doesn't make a lick of difference to me. By the way, just a little bit of a history lesson here. Rajon Rondo took a bomb out of Dallas because of Carlisle and Dallas in general.
That was ugly when he was there.
And it was very ugly. And what did Rajon Rondo do for the Lakers a few years later? Oh, and I'm saying he was an integral part too. He wasn't a standby guy. He was hitting threes like he was Reggie Miller in important games.
And no one could believe it. I couldn't believe it. You know, I was the last to get on the Rondo train, but it came to fruition. And he kept hitting those big shots, Joe, and you got to give him all the credit for doing so.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, keep thinking Halliburton's better than Luka. Go ahead.
I'll just say this. I am concerned the Lakers, who still need size, may not have the opportunity to get said size, picking again this year at number 55. So I think there is the possibility they may try to move up in the draft. I know there's limitations on what they can do as far as buying their way to move up, not like they did previously because of where they're at the salary cap. But then again, Joe, yes, their success in drafting players and evaluation in the previous decade has been a mixed bag in this one. And I'll leave it at that because, for every success you got with the undrafted success of Austin Reeves, you do have middling success and mixed success in a lot of other places. JHS, where's JHS at this point? He'll be trying to battle for a summer camp invite, a training camp invite at Summer League this summer because of it. Meanwhile, Podziemski is going to be in midst of heavy trade rumors because he's considered a valuable piece for Golden State to move because he's played himself into being a starter on a playoff team. So those are just some of the things that we talk about as far as the evaluation for Rob Pelinka and the supposed the Bus brothers that are supposedly just wonders in as far as evaluating talent. This decade has not gone as well drafting wise. Max Christie, again, he's a rotation player. Great. When you can get a rotation player out of a second round draft choice, that should be considered a success. He hasn't done much more than that, but he, obviously on Dallas now going forward, he has a chance to do some things. But again, it's been a mixed bag so far this decade, Joe. Your thoughts on how the Lakers should approach the draft again, seeing how they will do or seeing how they will have a late second round draft choice once again.
Lakers are not really going to know what they are until LeBron leaves next year.
Uh-huh.
That's it. We don't really know how this team is going to be built. They've made a commitment to Luka by acquiring him. There's no other way to look at it. And Luka is talented enough to be a multiple MVP, can handle the spotlight, and can handle what is coming. The pressure, the constant stress of being the LA Laker, being the guy that's making sure the team is competing. Anyone who thinks otherwise, and this all goes to crap if he gets hurt, right? Like anybody else. But if he stays healthy for the next 10 years, being in LA, history says that LA will be a perennial title contender and they will win championships. Not championship, they will win championships. It didn't work out with championships, plural, with AD and LeBron, because there was unforeseen circumstances that came out of nowhere. COVID came and ended up kind of screwing up the schedules for at least 3 seasons. So COVID was essentially 2 seasons in one. Then to make up for time lost, Adam Silver decided to have an off season that only lasted, 7.5 weeks? So a lot of people who were playing hard basketball and doing what they were doing not too long before then ended up crapping out. And they only played 72 games that season. And then finally, 2022, you started sort of getting normal, but it took a minute to get normal. And then finally, I think 2023, everybody kind of got out of that. Okay, we're back to how it used to be. And one bad decision in between that really derailed the Lakers. Just that the Westbrook trade absolutely decimated any chance of the LeBron AD era of being successful. And I don't believe that the Lakers will make that same mistake again. I don't see them making that same mistake. That's too big of a mistake to happen twice. So if they're not going to make a mistake like that, then there's a very good chance that they'll be able to build around Luka and make sure that Luka is on teams that are constantly in it to win it.
Okay. And you're right.
And you all can sit there and pick whoever your favorite player is. It doesn't really matter what you think. It doesn't matter anybody thinks. You can choose to be delusional or you can choose to be smart. Most people are delusional because you have feelings and you feel better when you tap into your feelings. It's kind of like the people who get up in the morning and are like, I don't feel like going to the gym. And they're overweight. They're pre-diabetic. You think anybody likes to get up in the morning and go to the gym? No. But the ones that do, when they don't want to, they're probably going to be in better shape and able to last much longer. Do the things you hate. But if you're going to continue to pick things that you like and feel good about, okay, I would like to do that too, but it doesn't become very realistic. I want to love LeBron James. I want to love that he's a basketball savant even in his 40s. I really do. I should have pride in it, right? It would make me feel good to say, nah, LeBron's great. He's a Laker. He's great. But when it's about winning, when it's really about winning, and most of the people that love LeBron are not about winning. They're about LeBron James. They're fans of LeBron James. I am not a fan of anyone. I admire and like Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, but I would be a Laker fan if Kobe never wore a jersey that said Lakers on it. I would be a Laker fan if Magic never wore the jersey. I'm a Laker fan. I'm a supporter of the team. I care about what the team does. That means winning. I don't take drugs, Joker. I don't do drugs. Drugs are for the weak.
Guys are killing me out there. All right. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Cannot thank you enough for stopping by, catching us on the Lakers Fast Break channel. Please like and subscribe. Again, for our playback viewers, Game 2 is set for a Sunday. So, again, it's many days off. Oklahoma had several days off. And guess what? They're getting more days off to think about what happened for them. So we'll see what happens on Sunday at 5 p.m. And then Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, just so many days off after seeing so much action and flow almost every day in the playoffs. We're now come to a crawl as we wait for this series to continue. Best League says, Joe, if LeBron wants to stay with the Lakers for 3 years with just $30 million per year, would you be more open to that?
No, I don't want LeBron on this team after next year. There needs to be a philosophy shift. Read up on when Montana was replaced by Steve Young. Read up on when Andrew Luck took over for Peyton Manning. So there needs to be a complete change. It's not whether it's the right. LeBron is not going to get better. LeBron is not going to get better. It's time to move on, and LeBron dominates the atmosphere too much. Lakers cannot afford to pay $30 million, even still, just $30 million for someone who can't close, who can't really guard anybody when you really need him day in and day out, game in and game out, especially in the playoffs. He's got spurts, he's got moments there, but he can't. He's just physically can't. He'll bust a tire, which he did. His groin busted again this year, and that likely played a big part in what's going on, and it trickled down to his knee.
No Joker says, well, technically he has gotten better in many stats the last 2 years, but he does dominate the air.
Yeah, stats mean nothing when you can't close games. I don't know what the obsession with, he's doing this at 40. I don't understand what that has to do with winning. Who are you guys? Are you cheering for LeBron to do well or the Lakers? Stats are not gonna. I don't hang 41,000 point stats in my wall. I mean, I don't even hang Laker banners either, but I do have pictures of them on my phone. I do talk about them. It's the first things I look at when I go to the games.
Best League says you prefer to give $30 million to Austin instead of LeBron.
When did I say that? When did I say that?
Yeah. Don't think you did.
No, Austin is not a $30 million a year guy. I think I have said that, by the way.
Yeah, you have said that before.
No, but Austin is a $20 million player for 4 years at best, but he cannot. In my view, he is better suited, unless he improves next year, he's better suited as a sixth man on a title team. That's his best attribute. We've seen him play enough, and we've said this for a few years. This wasn't just something we said this year. His best attribute would be a guy to play as a sixth starter, basically a sixth man.
But as you know, it's not in his financial best interest to do so, which is going to create a problem for the Lakers going forward. He's going to be offered an extension this summer. He'll refuse it. And then the Lakers, again, if they do not trade him for valuable assets, there is the very real possibility they may lose him for nothing. Whether or not you see him as a $20 million player, $30 million player, what have you. I know that he sees himself probably, or the people that are representing him are seeing himself as something different. And again, my issue is losing him for nothing, which I think would be a terrible mistake by the Lakers.
I'm not worried about Austin Reeves. I'm not worried about Rui Hachimura. I'm only thinking about one thing right now. How is this team going to build around Luka Doncic? That's it. Couldn't give two shits about what LeBron does after he retires or what Austin Reeves' market is or Rui. I don't care. If those guys decide to play their contracts out, that's the difference between when we were screaming about Russell needing to be signed so you don't lose that money, which I always knew they would. They don't want to lose that as a trade asset, right? Mm-hmm. Next year, the Lakers, if all these guys decide to play their contracts out, if the Lakers don't do anything other than bring in talent versus trading anybody this summer, the Lakers are in a very good position to unload on millions and millions and millions of dollars. So then they can be under the cap and they can actually sign people outright at that point or acquire them however they need to. This is the Luka Doncic era that's starting now. It's going to take a while. I have predicted that the Lakers will likely be a perennial title contender the summer of 2027. They could still compete next year and the year after, but I feel they'll have enough time between now and that summer to really have the right team around Luka so that he can go, okay, I just turned 29. Now I have about a 4-year window where I have a team that's going to go, can I win 2? Can I win 3 in the next 4 years? That's how the Lakers need to look at this. Getting a second star, getting 3 awesome players that are going to play around Luka and a really good big, whatever. We know the Lakers aren't going to do what Dallas did. Make a mockery of their own star, embarrass their fan base, embarrass the city with their hooligans behind the scenes. Maybe that's one thing that we do have to give credit to the Lakers about. As much as a bunch of jackasses that are hovering around there, at least
They do protect their stars.
Yeah, at least they didn't do what Dallas was doing, treating their secretaries a certain way or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Just saying.
And on that note, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro of the Joe Soro channel on YouTube, also as well the Ox Experience that you can go ahead, the Experiment, Joe Soro Experiment channel on playback and on YouTube. Go ahead and check him out today. He had a great show last night. If you want to hear his thoughts on the Dodgers, who won today, I'm sure he'll have one coming up in the not too distant future. He did have comments earlier on, of course, Aaron Rodgers heading to Pittsburgh.
Well, I'll put a button on this with Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
We did talk about a little bit about a half hour ago or so ago. Aaron Rodgers is gonna come play for a year, and the Steelers are gonna see what they can do, and maybe hope that Will Howard becomes something. Which history says Ohio State quarterbacks don't. Ohio State quarterbacks generally do not become great quarterbacks in the NFL. But it'll be a very interesting season, something that would be more entertaining with Aaron Rodgers than not. Otherwise, we're watching Mason Rudolph, who's been a class act. You cannot deny that. He has been an absolute class act with all the BS that he's dealt with, dealing with the Myles Garrett helmet hitting situation that he's known for now, concussion issues with his face mask off and looking weird without a face mask and his helmet being on. Like, it's he's a God-fearing man, and I think he takes things in stride. And I think out of respect of how he's dealt with that as a real professional and as a good human being, I wish Mason Rudolph all the luck in the world just because he's a good person. Whether he's going to be finishing this year as a starter, we don't know. But Aaron Rodgers is going to be there to play. His statistics weren't too bad last year with the Jets. But the Steelers, as bad as they've been the last few years in terms of contending, they're never going to be the Jets. So maybe with those statistics from last year on a team that actually has some pride and some good history, maybe there might be something that could sneak by. Maybe he can pull a Tom Brady in Tampa. Maybe he can pull a Peyton Manning in 15. And win a championship with barely a neck being able to move. I don't know. We're going to find out one way or the other, and I think it's going to be entertaining anyway, either way. And with that, I want to thank you for having me here tonight, Gerald. I got to check out, and thanks for everybody who's been watching. You guys came with some pitchforks and tridents tonight. I wonder what I did to deserve the insults tonight.
Because we're here, sometimes that's all it takes. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. I know Joker says Lakers win 46 next year. Thank you so much for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. On the way out, it's Joe Soro. It's me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. We'll be back very soon. Maybe even as early as Saturday. But tomorrow, Friday, it is John Costa on this very channel, on Clutch Talk, on Lakers Corner. He'll be here at 5 p.m. I've already set it up. I've already scheduled it. He has a special guest talking about the Lakers offseason, so go ahead and join him there. I will try to stop by Saturday or this weekend. Saturday or Sunday. We'll see what we can do. But again, we'll be back in the not too distant future with John Costa, Clutch Talk on Lakers Corner tomorrow at 5. Talk on Lakers basketball. No Joker, thank you so much again for the super chats. Truly appreciated. And everybody, have yourselves a great weekend from all of us right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.